Hello my dear students. So today we are going to start a new chapter, that is chapter 6, solving simple problems on quadratic equations. Now this chapter is entirely based on your quadratic equation chapter. Okay, so in this chapter what you are going to do is you are going to frame a word problem into a quadratic equation and you are going to solve it. Okay, so we'll start with few simple problems. So today we are going to start exercise 6a. Okay, and let's begin the first problem for the day. So question says the product of two consecutive numbers is 56. Okay, so you need to find the integers. Now let us try to understand what is the meaning of this. Now consecutive numbers means the numbers whose difference is going to be 1. For example, the consecutive number of 1 is going to be the immediate next number. That is, the immediate next number of 1 is 2. Okay, the consecutive number of 2 is 3. Similarly, the consecutive number for 3 is going to be 4. Okay, so the difference between the consecutive numbers is going to be 1. Okay, so the question says there are two consecutive numbers. Okay, so there are two consecutive numbers and their product is how much? It is 56. So you need to find what are those numbers. Okay, so let me call one number to be x. Okay, so automatically the other number has to be x plus 1 because the difference between them has to be 1, right? So that's what I'm going to do. So let the two consecutive integers be x and x plus 1. Okay, now the question says that the product between x and x plus 1, that is x into x plus 1, has to be equals to 56. Okay, so from the given information we can write that x into x plus 1 is 56. Okay, now let us open the bracket. So if I open the bracket and get this 56 out there, we'll have equals to 0. And we know that in a quadratic equation, we always keep 0 in the right hand side because the general form of quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. Okay, now it's up to you in which way you want to solve this quadratic equation. Okay, so you have got quadratic equation formula available with you. You can use that, or else you can make use of middle term break. Okay, so you use any of your method and you'll find that if you use middle term, then you'll get this much, and if you don't want to use, that's also okay. But if you use middle term or if you use quadratic equation formula, then you'll get the value of x to be minus 8 or 7. Okay, so let us take one case at a time. Now when x is minus 8, because there are two values for x, so that's why I'm taking one value at a time. So when x is minus 8, okay, that means one number is minus 8, then the other number, that is x plus 1, is going to be what is the value of x? It is minus 8 plus 1 is there. So when you simplify this, you'll get minus 7. Okay, so that means if the value of x is minus 8, the other number has to be minus 7. That means the two consecutive integers whose product is going to be 56 are minus 8 and minus 7. Okay, so this is one case. Now if my value for x is 7, okay, so if value for x is 7, then my x plus 1 is going to be 7 plus 1, which is 8. So the consecutive number of 7 is 8. Okay, and also 7 into 8 is 56. Okay, so that's why the required integers are minus 8 and minus 7. Okay, so either this can be my answer or 7 and 8 can be the answer. Okay, so pause the video to note down. So the next question says the sum of the squares of two consecutive natural numbers. So again they are talking about consecutive numbers here is 41. So you need to find the numbers. Okay, so again as usual I'm going to consider those two numbers to be x and x plus 1 because they are consecutive numbers. Okay, so we have, let the numbers be x and x plus 1. Now according to the question, we need to find the sum of the squares of two consecutive natural numbers. That means we need to first square them and we need to find the sum of them. That means we'll square them and we'll add them. Okay, and whatever is the result, that is going to be my 41. Okay, because the sum is 41. Okay, so from the given information we need to have this one. Yes, so square of first one plus square root second one. Now you have a plus b whole square format here, so you can make use of a plus b whole square formula here, right? Okay, so when you use a plus b whole square formula, then you will get this much, and when you simplify this into ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0 form, which you have already learned in your quadratic equation chapter, okay, so you must again revise that chapter. Okay, so when you reduce that into quadratic equation, then you will get this much. Okay, now whenever you have got something common, you can take that out, okay, and you can divide both sides by the same number. Okay, so for example, here we have got 2 common here, right? So first what we do is we'll take out 2 common and we'll divide both sides by 2, okay, or else you can directly divide both sides by 2, which I'm going to do here. So dividing both sides by 2, what will happen? 2 divided by 2 is 1, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 40 divided by 2 is 20, okay, and 0 divided by 2 is 0 itself. So we'll get this much. Now this is a quadratic equation because we have got 0 in the right hand side. Now just solve it. Okay, so most of the problems in this particular chapter will be solved by yourself. Okay, I'm just going to give you the direction and I'm just going to arrive at the quadratic equation, and the solving part is all yours. Okay, now the factorization of left hand side will be this much. Now the value of x is going to be minus 5 or 4. Okay, so the question says that the numbers has to be natural number. That means this x is also a natural number. But here what we see is the value of x is minus 5. Now minus 5 is not a natural number, right? So that's why my value for x has to be 4, because 4 is a natural number. Okay, so since minus 5 is not a natural number, so that's why the value of x has to be 4. Okay, now if the value of x is 4, then what is the other number? It has to be 4 plus 1, which is 5. So the numbers are 4 and 5. So pause the video to note down. Okay, the next problem for the day. Find the 2 natural numbers which differ by 5. That means if one number is 1, another number has to be 6. That means the difference between the 2 numbers has to be 5. That's what is the meaning of the first line. And the sum of those whose squares is going to be 97. Is that clear? Is the question clear to you? Now, if one number is x, then another has to be obviously x plus 5, because the difference between 2 numbers is 5. Okay, so I'm calling the 2 numbers to be x and x plus 5. Now, according to question, sum of the squares, that means x square plus x plus 5 whole square is going to be 97. And again, this is the problem which we have already seen. Okay, and here it is said that the numbers are natural numbers. That means the value of x has to be a positive whole number. Please remember that. If you get negative, then you have to discard that part. Okay, so according to the information, you have this one. So what you will do is you will solve this equation, okay, and find the value of x. Okay, so complete the sum by yourself. So this is your next sum, okay, and this sum has to be done by yourself. Okay, so please make sure that you will do this problem. Now this problem has got a similar kind of question in question number 5, so which I am going to do it here. Now we have the next question which says 2 natural numbers differ by 3. So again I am going to take one number to be x, the other number will obviously be x plus 3. Now you have to find the numbers. You have to find the numbers if the sum of their reciprocals is going to be 7 by 10. Is the question clear to you? Okay, so we have 2 numbers to be x and x plus 3. Now the reciprocal of x is, see, this x can be written as x by 1. So that's why the reciprocal of x by 1 will be 1 by x. Okay, similarly this can be written as x plus 3 divided by 1. So that's why the reciprocal of this is going to be 1 by x plus 3. Okay, now when you add those reciprocals, you will get 7 by 10. That's what the question is saying. So from the given information, we have this much. Okay, so that means sum of the reciprocals is going to be 7 by 10. Now from here, what we do is we will arrive at our quadratic equation. Okay, so first is what we do is we will find the LCM, right? So the LCM of x and x plus 3 is going to be x into x plus 3. Next step, we'll divide this LCM by x. So x and x gets cancelled, so x plus 3 is left. So x plus 3 into 1 is x plus 3. We have got plus sign, so plus sign is there. So divide this LCM by x plus 3. This x plus 3 and x plus 3 gets cancelled, so you have only x left. So x into 1 is x here, okay, equals to 7 by 10. Now x and x gives me 2x, right? So let us see what do we get. So we get 2x plus 3 in the numerator, and in the denominator we have x into x, x square plus 3 into x is 3x. Is that clear? Do the cross multiplication and arrive at your quadratic equation. Now after arriving at the quadratic equation, what you need to do is you will use midterm or quadratic equation formula to find the value of x. Okay, so I don't have space here, I'll do my work here. Now if I use factorization, middle term factorization, then I'll get this much, and from here the value of x is going to be 2. Okay, now since the numbers are natural here, obviously this has to be discarded, right? This is not a natural number, this is a fractional number, and on top of that it is negative, so that's why we'll discard this number. So that's why the value for x is going to be 2. So if the value of x is 2, then the other number has to be 2 plus 3, which is 5. Okay, so since x is a natural number, so x is 2, so that's why the numbers are 2 and 5. So pause the video to note down. The next question says divide 15 into 2 parts. Okay, so we have to divide 15 into 2 parts such that the sum of their reciprocals is 3 by 10. So I hope you are clear with the term reciprocal by now. Now let me call one of the numbers to be x. Okay, suppose if my number is 7, one of the part is 7, obviously the other one has to be 8, right? Because 7 and 8, when they are added, I'll get 15, right? So if one number is x, then another number has to be 15 minus x, because x is already less than 15, so that's why it has to be 15 minus x, not x minus 15. Okay, so be clear. So we have the two numbers to be x and 15 minus x. Okay, now question says sum of their reciprocals. So that's why its reciprocal is 1 by x and its reciprocal is 1 by 15 minus x. So when I add them, my answer has to be 3 by 10. So from the given information, I'll get this one. So after this, your job is to solve it, okay, and complete the sum by yourself. The next question, the sum of the squares of two positive integers is 208. So they have not talked about whether the numbers are consecutive or anything else. Okay, so let's see what is the relationship given in between the two numbers. So it is said that if the square of the larger number is 18 times the smaller. Okay, so there are two numbers and the square of the larger is equal to 18 times the smaller one. Okay, so that's why I'm going to take the numbers to be x and y here. Okay, and I'll try to arrange those two numbers x and y in this way. Okay, so let the two numbers be x and y, and here I'm considering x to be smaller than y. Okay, so which is the larger number? Larger number is y. Okay, so from the given information, sum of the squares of two integers is 208. That means x square plus y square has to be 208. Okay, so this is the first case, and from the second one it is said that square of larger, and which one is larger here? Larger is y. So square of larger means y square is, that means is equal to 18 times the smaller, and smaller is x. Okay, so according to the second sentence, it is y square must be equals to 18 times x. Okay, because y is larger and x is smaller, so that's why we have y square equals to 18x. So I'm calling the first one to be equation 1 and I'm calling the second one to be equation 2. Now let's substitute the value of y square out there. Okay, so if I do that, then we have, so using 2 in 1, so we get x square instead of y square I am writing 18x. Okay, so plus 18x, and when this comes to the left hand side, I'll guess minus 208 equals to 0. Now this is a quadratic equation, right? So now you will solve this using any of the technique which you are comfortable with. Okay, so my values for x are going to be 8 and minus 26. Okay, now question is saying sum of the squares of two positive integers. So we have to look at the positive one. So this is negative, so that's why we will discard this part. So x cannot be negative, so that's why x has to be 8. Okay, so we have, if the value of x is 8, now again we have to find the other number, right? Find the numbers question says. So we have found the value of x, we have to find the value of y. Now we can find the value of y from equation 2, right? So put the value of x in equation 2, then you can find the value of y from here. So we have putting x equals to 8 in 2, so we have y square equals to 80 into x. X is 8, which is 144. So that's why y will be square root of 144, which is 12. Right, so that's why y is 12, and we know that whenever we take square root, there has to be two square roots. One is plus and another is minus. So we cannot take negative because my number has to be a positive one. So that's why I'm taking y equals to 12. Okay, so that's why the two numbers are 8 and 12. Okay, so pause the video to note down. Okay, so next question is, find the two consecutive positive odd numbers, the sum of whose squares is 74. Okay, now this sum also you will do by yourself. I'm just going to give you a hint. Now here they are talking about two consecutive positive odd numbers. Now we know that the difference between consecutive numbers is 1, right? Now, for example, the consecutive number 1 is 2 and the consecutive number 2 is 3. But here, it is not the same like the earlier one. Here, the case is consecutive odd numbers. Now, let me take one odd number. My odd number is 3, for example. Okay. Now, the next odd number, the immediate next odd number to 3 is 5, right? So consecutive odd numbers and consecutive even numbers will have the difference of 2. Okay, so you need to remember this one. Now if I call one of the odd number to be x, then obviously the other one has to be x plus 2, because the difference between two consecutive odd numbers is 2. Okay, so that's what you are going to take. So you will do the sum by yourself, and the hint is, let the two consecutive numbers is x and x plus 2. Now the next part you will do by yourself. Okay, so similarly you will do question number 8 as well. So you have got the same hint here, so you will do this by yourself, and the hint is again same. Okay, so pause the video to note down the hints. Okay, let's look at this question. So we have the denominator of a fraction is 1 more than twice the numerator. So we need to understand this first language. Now there's a fraction. Okay, so in that fraction, the denominator is 1 more than twice the numerator. Okay, so hope you have understood. For example, if the numerator is x, then the denominator has to be 1 more than twice the numerator. So twice the numerator means 2 times x. Yes. Okay, so we have 2x, and since it is 1 more than 2x, so that's why it will be 2x plus 1. Okay, so my denominator will be 2x plus 1 if my numerator is x. Okay. Okay, so question says, if the sum of the fraction and its reciprocal is going to be 2.9, you have to find the fraction. Hope the question is clear to you. Now let's begin. So as I said, let the fraction be. So as I said, if the numerator is x, the denominator has to be 1 more than twice the numerator. Okay, 1 more than twice the numerator. Hope this is clear to you. So this is my fraction. Now according to the question, if the sum of the fraction and its reciprocal. So its reciprocal is going to be 2x plus 1 by x. Okay, so if I add these two, then my answer is going to be 2.9. Okay, so from the given situation I should have this one, right? So you know how to proceed to form your quadratic equation. Okay, so all the steps have been given here, so you can copy this and you can arrive at this quadratic equation. Okay, so you will solve this quadratic equation to find the value of x, which turns out to be 2 and minus 5 by 8, right? Okay, now the required fraction will be this much. How you will verify from here? So suppose if I take x to be 2, okay, so if I take x to be 2, then what happens? My numerator will be 2. So here the numerator is 2 and the denominator becomes 2 into 2, that is 4 plus 1. Okay, so 4 plus 1 is 5. Hope the question is clear to you. So pause the video to note down. Okay, so let's see the next question, that is 11. 3 positive numbers are in the ratio 1 by 2 is to 1 by 3 is to 1 by 4. So you need to find the numbers if the sum of their squares is 244. Okay, so let's begin. So the numbers are given in this ratio. Now whenever you have ratio given in terms of fraction, okay, so what you can do is you can convert this into the ratio of whole numbers. Okay, and that can be done by multiplying the each fraction with the denominator's LCM. Okay, so if I multiply all the ratio by the LCM of denominators, so it's going to be 12. Okay, so 12 into half is going to be 6, 12 into 1 by 3 is going to be 4, and 12 into 1 by 4 is going to be 3. So my corresponding ratio, okay, equivalent ratio is going to be 6:4:3, right? Okay, so 3 numbers are in the ratio 6:4:3. Now the question says find the numbers if the sum of their squares is 244. Okay, so let the numbers be 6x, 4x and 3x, because since they are in the ratio 6:4:3, so that's why I'm taking the numbers to be 6x, 4x and 3x. Now according to the question, if I take the squares of each number and add them, I should get 244. Okay, so from the given information I have this one. So just open the bracket. Okay, so 6 square is 36, 4 square is 16, 3 square is 9. Okay, so add them up, you will get 61x squared equals to 244, and when you divide you will get x squared to be 4, right? Okay, now take the square root, you will get plus minus 2. Okay, and since the numbers has to be positive, so that's why I need to discard the negative value, so I'll take only x to be positive, that is x equals to 2. Fine. Now obviously when x is 2, what are the numbers? So it will be 6 into 2, which will be 12, 4 into 2, which will be 8, and 3 into 2, which will be 6. Okay, so pause the video to note down. Now we have this one, this problem. So we'll pay attention to this problem carefully so that we can have the next problem as homework. So we have divide 20 into 2 parts. Okay, so it's like the earlier problem where we have done division of 15 into 2 parts, right? Okay, so obviously I'm going to take one number to be x, the other will be 20 minus x. Fine. Okay, so let us begin with the problem. So we have the 2 parts to be x and y. Okay, so as I said, when I add them I should get 20, so that's why, okay, so when I add them I will get 20, and the value of y from here is 20 minus x. That means if one part is x, the other part will be 20 minus x, as I said earlier. Now what is the question saying is, so 3 times the square of one part exceeds the other part by 10. Okay, that means the difference between 3 times the square of 1 and the other part is going to be 10. That's what is the meaning of exceeds. Okay, fine. So that means from the given condition, 3 times one part Okay, so 3 times the square of one part. So let me take that one part to be x. Okay, so 3 times square of one part, that is x square. Okay, and the other part is y, right? So if I take the difference between them, then my value has to be 10, because 3 times square of one part exceeds the other by 10. So that's what is the question saying. Now let's just put the value of y here. Okay, so y is 20 minus x. So if I do that, I'll have 20 minus x here. So open the bracket, take this over there, then you will get this one. Okay, now you will solve this quadratic equation and find the value of x. So here x turns out to be 3 and minus 10 by 3, right? So x cannot be this one. Okay, so that's why number has to be 3. So the value of x is 3. So obviously if one part is 3, the other part has to be 17, right? Okay, so pause the video to note down. Next question. 3 consecutive natural numbers are such that the square of the middle number exceeds the difference of their squares of the other two by 60. Let's try to understand this later. So let's see what is given in the next one. So the question is saying, assume the middle number to be x. Okay, so there are 3 consecutive numbers and the middle one is x. So that's why the number which is lying to the left of x will be 1 less. So that's why it will be x minus 1, and the number which lies to the right will be 1 more. So that is x plus 1. Okay, so that's why I'm writing let the numbers be x minus 1, x and x plus 1. Right? Okay, now let us see what the question is saying. Okay, so such that the square of the middle, that means x square, exceeds the difference of the squares of the other two. That means first we have to find the square of the other two, that means x minus 1 and x plus 1. So we'll find the squares of them and we'll take the difference. Okay, so we'll take the difference of the squares of these two. Okay, and x square exceeds the difference of the squares of these two by how much? 60. That's what the question is saying. Let's try to understand the question again. So from the given information, the middle one is this one. Okay, so square of the middle one, that is this one, exceeds the difference, that is the difference of the other two. Okay, so difference of the squares of the other two by, okay, so x means the difference has to be how much? 60, right? So you will open the bracket and you will arrive at this particular quadratic equation. Solve it, you will get the values of x to be 10 and minus 6. And since x is a natural number, so that's why we will discard minus 6. So the number has to be 10. Okay, so the middle one is 10. The other one has to be x minus 1, that is 10 minus 1 is 9, and other has to be 11. Okay, so the numbers are 9, 10 and 11. So pause the video to note down. So next part you will do by yourself. Next question, so hint is also given and the question is almost of same kind. Okay, so you will do this by yourself. Okay, so this kind of question you have already seen in your class 8. Okay, so what we do is, in this kind of problem we'll find how much work will be done in one day. Okay, so that's what we are interested in. So it says that A can do a piece of work in x days and B can do the same work in x plus 16 days. Okay, so if both of them are working together, they can finish the work in 15 days. Okay, so you need to calculate the value of x. Okay, so if you are not comfortable with this problem, so you have to go back to your class 8 book and again refer to the problems which you have done in class 8. Okay, so as I said, you have to find how much work is done in one day. Okay, so we have work done by A in one day, so it's going to be 1 by x. So you need to remember that. Okay, so in one day A can finish only this much part. Is that clear? Okay, now B is taking x plus 16 days, right? That means B can do in one day, how many part of the work? It will be 1 by x plus 16. Okay, now next is if they work together. Okay, in one day A is finishing this much part. Suppose if you want to cover this area, okay, and A in one day covers this much space, for example, okay, and B covers this much space in one day. Okay, so if they work together, then in one day they will finish this much and this much, right? So in one day they are going to finish this much. But if both of them work together, they will finish the work in 15 days. Okay, that means in one day if they work together, they'll finish how many part? It will be 1 by 15. Hope you are understanding. That means this part and this part together is going to be 1 by 15. Is that clear? Okay, so together if they work for 15 days, then in one day it's going to work 1 by 15, and that 1 by 15 has to be 1 by x plus 1 by x plus 16. Hope this is clear to you. Now you will solve this and arrive at this quadratic equation, solve it and find the value of x. So you'll get the values of x to be 24 and minus 10. Obviously x is a number of days, so that's why it cannot be negative, so that's why the value of x is 24. Okay, so x cannot be negative, so that's why the value of x is 24. Pause the video to note down. Okay, let's have a look at this problem. So this problem is also actually a kind of the earlier problem, that is question number 15. Okay, but here the time is given in terms of hours. Okay, and here instead of men working, here the pipes are working. Okay, so there are two pipes and one pipe can fill a cistern in 3 hours less than the other. Okay, so there are two pipes which is filling a cistern and one takes 3 hours less than the other. Suppose if one takes 6 hours to fill the cistern, then the other has to take 3 hours, that is 6 hours less, 3 hours less than the first one. Okay, so that means if one of them takes x hours to fill the cistern, then the other one has to take x minus 3 hours. Okay, so in earlier problem we are looking at the part of the work done in one day. Okay, similarly here what we are going to do is we'll find the part of the cistern which is filled in 1 hour. Is that clear? Okay, so if the two pipes can fill the cistern in 6 hours 40 minutes, that means if both of them work together, they'll fill the tank in these many time. Okay, so 6 hours 40 minutes is given, so we'll convert this minutes also in hours. Okay, so question says find the time that each pipe will take to fill the cistern. Okay, so I am taking the times to be x hours and the other will definitely take x minus 3 hours. Okay, now it is said that two pipes can fill the cistern together in these many minutes. So we will try to convert this into hours, which will give me this much. Okay, so as I said from the earlier one, if the first pipe takes x hours, then in 1 hour, okay, suppose if this is my cistern, this whole thing is my cistern, then the first pipe is taking x hours to fill this. Okay, and in 1 hour the same pipe can fill only 1 by x part. So imagine this is your 1 by x part. Okay, now if the another pipe is opened, then it can fill this whole cistern in x minus 3 hours. Okay, now in 1 hour the same pipe can fill 1 by x minus 3 part of the cistern. So this was our 1 by x. Let me assume this to be 1 by x minus 3. Okay, now if they are operated together, then in 1 hour the first one will fill this much and the other one will fill this much. Okay, so if they are operated together, it will be 1 by x plus 1 by x minus 3 in 1 hour. Okay, so in 1 hour it will be 1 by x plus 1 by x minus 3 if they are operated together. But if they are operated together, they can fill in this many hours. Okay, that means in 1 hour how many parts will be filled? It will be 1 by 20 by 3, which is 3 by 20. So from the given condition we have 1 by x, that is this one, plus 1 by x minus 3, that is this one, will be equals to 3 by 20. Solve this, or I add this and find the value of x. Okay, so that's why your answer is going to be, okay, so as I said, there are two values, so x is 4 by 3. Okay, so when x is 4 by 3, the value of x minus 3, because we need to calculate x minus 3 as well, is going to be negative, which is not possible. So time cannot be negative. So that's why we'll avoid 4 by 3. So we'll take other value, that is x to be 15. So if one system takes 15 hours, then other has to take obviously 15 minus 3, that is 12 hours. So pause the video to note down. Okay, so we'll take last problem for the day. So we have a positive number is divided into two parts. Again, the same kind of problem which we have already seen, such that the sum of the squares of the two parts is 20. Now, the squares of the larger part is 8 times the smaller part. Again, we have already seen this kind of problem. So question says, taking x as the smaller part of the two parts, find the number. So there is a number, okay, and it is divided into two parts. Okay, so let me call those two numbers to be x and y. Okay, so 20 is divided in two parts and I am calling them to be x and y. Okay, and I am calling x to be smaller part, because the question says take x to be smaller part. Now what the question is saying is the square of the larger part is y. So square of larger part is y square is 8 times the smaller part. Fine. Okay, now from the given information, what do we have is x square plus y square has to be 20. Yes, because it is said sum of the squares of the two parts is 20. So the two parts are x and y, so sum of their squares will be 20. Now we'll put the value of y square to be 8x here, then we'll get the quadratic equation to be this much. Solve it and find the value of x. So you'll get x to be 2 or minus 10, right? Okay, now x equals to minus 10, that's negative, is rejected here. Okay, because the numbers are positive, so that's why a negative number is rejected. So that's why the value of x is 2. Now if I put x equals to 2 here, we'll find the other part, because we need the two parts. So therefore x equals 2, so that's why x equals to 2 gives me y to be equals to 4. Okay, so 8 into 2 is 16, so square root of y square is 16, so that's why y will be square root of 16, which will be 4. Okay, therefore the question says find the number. So the two parts are 2 and 4, so that's why when I add them I'll get the number. So that's why the required number is 2 plus 4 equals to 6. Okay, so pause the video to note down, and thank you very much.